of the future of farming today, and specifically the Innovations in Agriculture show. I'm actually privileged in a lot of ways because, of course, we're on the cutting edge of agriculture. We're on the cutting edge of innovation. Our technology, our crop booster technology is producing um, really otherworldly results. I mean, it's hard to overestimate and overexplain. I'm not the kind of guy that's really out there, making big claims or making huge, hype type related promotion. That's just not how I operate. I operate on what I know and what I can promise, and what I know that I can comfortably say this is going to happen. And the weird thing, the weird challenge that I have is that I am often confronted with the fact that our technology just really is that amazing. It really does produce these stunning, otherworldly type results. And it's hard to sort of capture that in a way that people can relate to, because there just is nothing else like this on the planet. But in my position, I also have the really cool gift of being able to talk to people all over the world. And I talk to people and I learn so much about not just our technology, but all these different innovations that exist in the world of agriculture, things that I've never heard of. And I know most farmers have probably never heard of, right? I mean, these innovations really run the gamut of just about everything you can imagine. And we tend to think of farming as more of a traditional, slow to move, slow to progress type of an industry. But there's a lot of stuff happening that's really improving the efficiency and the productivity of agriculture. In fact, I talked to some people who were saying that, the FAO and the USDA and some of these organizations, these governmental organizations, are trying to spread fear and say, hey, we need to double our agricultural output or increase it by 30 or 40%, by 2050, so we can continue to feed everybody. But what they don't realize is there's already innovations being implemented that are going to improve productivity by 10, 20, 30%, even without our crop booster, right? And then you add something like this, like our crop booster, and yes, you're going to get that extra output, but more importantly, you're going to start saving on fertilizer. You're going to use less inputs, less pesticides, less fertilizer, because the plants are just so much more efficient. And I think when you look at all the different things for agriculture, all the innovations and all the different improvements for agriculture, you get those incremental improvements, those small improvements, those little changes. And those happened with any industry and any type of thing. But when you look at giant jumps forward and giant leaps ahead, where things are really just moving exponentially forward, you're going to see a lot of improvements. Now, we're going to be working with some very large citrus organizations and some large other organizations to completely handle these epidemic diseases in agriculture. Things like citrus greening. This is a disease that has wiped out 80% of all citrus production in Florida. And when you think of Florida, you think of a citrus. That's one of the things you think of, right? And unfortunately, because of this greening disease, this disease for citrus trees, it's wiped out 80% of the overall production for citrus here in Florida. And a lot of big companies, big brands like Tropicana, like some of these juices and some of these other brands, have actually moved away from Florida and started making contracts with Mexico and other places, because the growers here were just unable to fill the demand for the juice that they needed, that these big brands needed. And it's really wiped out a lot of small farmers. And even some of the big farmers are telling us, they had to shut down their juicing facility or shut down this other packing house. And it's been just a nightmare. But the bright news is there's a lot of solutions out there. Where there's problems, there's solutions, right? Obviously, our crop booster is a part of that solution. But we're going to be partnering with several different companies to develop a holistic approach, because we believe that the ultimate solution to any problem is a holistic approach, right? If you want to solve human illness, let's say you found out you had heart disease or cancer or diabetes, yes, you can pop a pill and do something to handle the symptoms. But if you really want to get rid of that condition permanently, you have to look at your whole body together and figure out, how do I get all the systems in my body working together, right? So that I don't have the diabetes anymore. I don't have the heart disease. I don't have cancer, right? So you have to take the entire systemic approach if you really want to get rid of it. Yes, you can get rid of it in the short term, but to really make yourself healthy, you have to treat your whole body as one complete system. Now, when we look at agriculture, it's the same thing. If you've got insect problems, if you've got fungus problems, if you've got low productivity, if you've got water issues, if you've got fertilizer issues, you got all these different problems that farmers are facing, and you can keep trying to solve each problem one after the other, right? You can try to use herbicides to kill the weeds. You can try to use insecticides to kill the insects. You can try to use fungicide to kill the funguses. And you can try to do different things. But the idea is if you can treat the plant and its ecosystem as one complete system, and then you tailor your solutions to the overall improvement of that entire system, you're going to come out not just with better productivity, but you're going to have a sustainable solution that carries forward. So when we look at a problem like citrus greening, for example, yes, there's the psyllid, the little insect, right? And that's what transmits the disease. And there's the bacteria that the insect carries, which is actually what's destroying the trees, right? And you can look at that problem and say, how do I destroy the psyllids? How do I spray the insects to kill the insects off? And of course, they did that in full, right? But it didn't get rid of citrus greening. So then they looked at bactericide to kill the bacteria in the tree, right? And that didn't solve the problem. They looked at fungal issues, and that didn't solve the problem. They looked at increased fertilization, and that didn't solve the problem. They went through all these different individual solutions to try to handle the entire problem, the entire system, and yes, there's been improvements along the way, but it hasn't solved the whole problem. And so we came in and we're working with some very large citrus growers for a systemic approach. Okay. We want to treat the entire system, everything in that system of growing orange trees, from literally what's in the soil and soil microbial activity to improvements of the root structure and the root development, improvements in the vascular system, the creations of special enzymes which can actually break apart that bacterial damage that's clogging up the arteries of the tree, the improvements of the overall metabolism. I mean, we're looking at the entire system of growing citrus trees and growing citrus in Florida. And we're going to treat the citrus greening disease as a small piece or a small symptom of an overall larger problem. And we're incorporating our crop booster technology. We're going to incorporate microbial amendments. We're going to look at fertilization structures. We're going to look at even things like radionics for quality control, where we're actually able to pinpoint specific problems and handle those problems directly. So we're going to be looking at a wide variety of different potential solutions in combination with each other to really solve this problem and solve it for good. I think the citrus industry and the United States government has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to try to fix this problem. And we've learned the hard way over the last 15, 16, 17 years that you can't solve a complex problem with a simple solution, even a solution as great as the Harvest Harmonics crop booster. So we're partnering with other agencies to make sure we come up with that holistic solution that's going to completely and terminatedly, meaning finally, actually handle that problem and bring the entire citrus industry here in Florida back. And of course, we're a global company, right? We're not just dealing in Florida. We're not just dealing in the United States. We have countries all over the world that are using this. So we have a lot of different problems to look at solving. How do we solve the coffee borer beetle problem that's destroying 60 or 70% of the overall coffee production around the world, right? We're going to be working on that problem as well. How do we solve fusarium in bananas, which are starting to destroy banana trees, especially the Cavendish. The bananas you see in the supermarket, they're destroying a lot of those types of trees all over the world. And we're going to be working on that problem with the Banana Association in Ecuador and some other key players in the banana industry. So Harvest Harmonics is committed to solving the tremendous and epidemic problems in agriculture today, not just from the standpoint of specific diseases or specific insects or specific problems, but looking at the entire agricultural industry as a giant system, right? And there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of pieces in that system. And when you can start to optimize all of those elements within that system, you're going to have something that's more healthy, more organic, more sustainable, more productive, and more profitable for our farmers. That is our commitment to the agricultural industry. It's our commitment to every man, woman, and child who is eating the produce that the agricultural industry is producing for us. And it's our commitment to the future of all mankind and the future of Earth to make sure that we have a planet to live in, not just this year, not just this decade, but for many, many decades to come and even centuries into the future. I hope you guys would love to join me in this pursuit, and I hope you guys would love to join me and put the Caymanassi crop booster on your farm. Let's work together to help your farm become more profitable, and let's work together to make the entire industry more profitable and better for everybody. We hope we can work together very soon. I hope we hear from you. And if we do, let's work together and make this world a better place. And let's make you part of the future of farming today. Have a great day and a great weekend, guys. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks.